Part 21. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 202. Chapter 200, The 7 Evil Soul-Chasing Curse. The Tai Chi diagram rotated, and a two-tailed fox the size of an egg flew out from the Niwen palace between the man's eyebrows, disappeared into the Tai Chi diagram and disappeared. At the same time, deep underground 10 miles outside Wuchang City, in a cave of about 10 cubic meters, a white-furred fox with 2 tails and about the height of a man opened its eyes with a swish. Looking at the scarecrow placed on the altar in front of him, he pressed the seal, but there was no movement. Someone broke my 7 evil soul-chasing curse. Suddenly, a steady voice came from the scarecrow. Su Junming, a poor Taoist from the southern sect of Mission, tonight at 3 o'clock in the morning, I am waiting for my Taoist friend at Jian's house. Please make it clear about the right and wrong. If this son is guilty, I will no longer pursue him. After saying that, the scarecrow made no move. The white-furred fox's eyes flickered. Mission Nanzong? No wonder the cultivation level is so profound. Anyway, we will meet this disciple of the great sect tonight. The magic power pinches the scarecrow, and the spiritual consciousness transmits the sound. I will definitely keep the appointment again. Feeling the message coming from the demon power, Su Junming nodded and turned to look at Jian Wanchun and his wife. Tonight, the demon who captured your son's 7 souls will come. By then, the right and wrong will be revealed. Taoist Master Chen from Xianyang Temple said that the thing that harmed my son was a fox monster. Since the Taoist master has the means to subdue the monster, why didn't he just kill the monster and save my son's life, the woman said. The questioning tone made Su Junming frown. In the eyes of my Taoists, all living beings in heaven and earth are equal. Demons also have their own way. If they are evil demons that harm people's lives, our Taoists will naturally kill them to protect them. If they are good-natured demons who have contributed to heaven and earth, not only do we, the Taoists, not kill, we also protect 1 or 2. How can this fox monster be a good monster when it harmed my son's life? The woman frowned. Right and wrong cannot be based on one-sided words. Of course, if you don't believe me, then you should ask someone else to do this. Su Junming has never been willing to get involved in this kind of distinguishing between right and wrong and reasoning. If you don't handle it well, you will not only lose merit, but you will also be stuck with cause and effect. Taoist Master, calm down. Taoist Master Su, calm down. Jian Wanchun quickly stopped Su Junming, who was about to leave. My wife also loves her son very much, so she contradicted the Taoist priest with her words. He turned his head and spoke harshly. You bitch, why don't you apologize to the Taoist priest? Although the woman was somewhat reluctant, she did not dare to disobey Jian Wanchun's instructions. Please, Taoist master, please be magnanimous and don't be as knowledgeable as me, a woman with shallow knowledge. Although he said this, even a blind person could see the reluctance in his words. Just as Su Junming was about to speak, the sound of chaotic footsteps came from downstairs. Soon, a beautiful girl in a dress opened the door and walked in. Behind him, there was also a handsome young man wearing a suit with a black mole on his chin, and a white young man with brown hair and white skin also wearing a suit. Mom, Dad, are you all here? I'll take Brother Lin and Dr. James. Oh my God. Before the girl could finish speaking, the white young man behind her heard an exclamation and ran up to Su Junming in 2 steps. Is it really you? The magical Eastern mage. Su Junming frowned. Did this guy take the wrong medicine? Too lazy to talk to him. He turned to look at Jian Wanchun. I'll come back in the evening. Not waiting for his reply, he urged Hu Tianshen to perform his magic, and his figure disappeared out of thin air. This magical scene instantly made everyone around them stunned. Great! I must learn the magical Eastern magic. James shouted excitedly. He spoke in English, and Qian Chun couldn't understand it, but seeing a foreigner yelling here, he instinctively felt a little disgusted. Lin Hangxiang saw this and quickly stepped forward to explain. Uncle Qian, James was just excited for the moment and had no other meaning. Qian Chun nodded. Shan Shan, take your friends out. Your brother needs to rest. Dad, James is a friend of Han Xiang's brother and a top student at Oxford University Medical School. Let him show it to his brother. He will definitely be better than those monks and Taoists you invited. Although I said that, thinking about the magical scene just now, my tone became less firm later on. No. Dad is well aware of your brother's illness, Han Xiang, take her out. Lin Hangxiang saw the determination in Qian Chun's expression and quickly took Qian arm. Shan Shan, let's go. Brother Hangxiang, Dad. Go out. Qian Chun frowned and scolded. Qian face turned gloomy, she snorted coldly, turned around and ran out of the room. James also noticed the change in the atmosphere around him, but he couldn't speak Chinese and couldn't understand what was going on. Lin, what's going on? James, let's leave first. Aren't you going to see a doctor? No, the situation has changed. Let's come back next time. James nodded, bowed to Qian Chun, turned around and walked out. Uncle Lin, let's go first. Take me to say hello to your father. Qian Chun nodded. I will. Lin Hangxiang and his daughter Qian Shanshan are engaged. If nothing unexpected happens, the other party will be his future son-in-law. Qian Chun's attitude is naturally not too bad. Master, why are you so cruel to Shanshan? She is still young. After the couple were alone in the room, the woman complained. She is already 18 years old, why is she still young? If she hadn't been so troublesome just now, would Director Su be able to leave? Shanshan also has good intentions. The woman hesitated for a moment. Master, if it's not Jier's fault, do you think that person would let it go? Qian Chun sighed. Even if I'm afraid of risking my old face and losing the Qian family's property, I still ask the Taoist priest to save him. Take James out. Lin, can you help me ask for the address of Master Dongfang? I want to worship him as my teacher. James, the Eastern sect inheritance is different from the Western academic system. They will not accept disciples easily, especially since you are a white man. I'm afraid that mage will not accept you. Lin Hangxiang shook his head. Although he did not have a deep understanding of Taoism, he was very clear about the rigorous inheritance of Eastern masters and disciples. Unless you are a disciple who started at a young age, it will be difficult to obtain the true inheritance. Why? I can pay more tuition. It's not about tuition. Seeing his confused eyes, Lin Hangxiang didn't explain any more. If you are not a traditional Chinese person, it is difficult to figure out the reason. Okay, I can ask for you, but I can't guarantee success. It doesn't matter, I believe my sincerity will definitely impress him, James said firmly. But Lin Hangxiang is not as optimistic as him. After Su Junming left the Qian family, he went directly back to the Zi family. Without alerting anyone, he drew talismans and practiced in the room. When it was almost time, he urged Hu Tianshen to perform the talisman and come to Qian's house. Seeing Su Junming floating in the air, Qian Chun, who had been waiting in the yard, looked overjoyed and hurriedly greeted him. Taoist priest. She nodded towards him and looked at the altar and flags arranged in the yard. Take all of this away. Taoist priest, all of this is useless. It works, but I can't use it. Su Junming can naturally use the altar and flags, but if nothing unexpected happens, there is no need to fight tonight. Even in a fight, he can handle a monster in the innate stage, no matter how strong it is. Afraid of hurting him again, Qian Chun waved his hands to the people below. All the altars and flags were removed. Su Junming turned his head and glanced at the east wall. Qian Shanshan, who was lying here taking a peek, immediately retracted her head. He didn't find out, did he? Miss, why don't we go back, in case the master discovers? The little maid holding the ladder below persuaded him nervously. What are you afraid of? How could Dad find us when we are hiding so far away? She must take a good look at the truth of this Taoist priest today, so that she can expose the truth that he is just a liar in front of her parents. Su Junming sat down on the futon cross-legged. He naturally discovered Qianqianshan's peeping, but he didn't bother to pay attention to the details. Meditate quietly and wait for the arrival of the fox demon. About half an hour later, when Qian Wanchun and others were extremely anxious, Su Junming suddenly opened his eyes. Coming. Sure enough, a white light flew from the southwest, landed outside Qian's door for a while, and then came in. It's prudent. Shua. When Qian Wanchun and the servants of the Qian family were extremely nervous, a woman wearing palace attire, with her hair tied high and an astonishingly charming look on her face, appeared in front of everyone. It's beautiful. Qian Wanchun and others were amazed. Su Jun knew enough not to be fascinated by this illusion. Unless the demon clan reaches the golden elixir, it is impossible to transform into a human form. A woman who looked extremely beautiful to ordinary people was just a tall, white-haired, two-tailed fox in his eyes. Both sides looked at each other. Su Junming, a disciple of Mission Nanzong, haven't you asked me your name yet? Hu Sunyang, a wandering demon in the mountains. Su Junming was a little surprised. This Hu Sunyang has a strong demonic aura, extraordinary foundation, and her cultivation has reached the peak of the innate world. She does not look like a casual cultivator. I believe that although fellow Taoist cultivator is a demon cultivator, his aura is pure and he has no aura of injustice. He is obviously a member of Suanmen who is dedicated to pure cultivation. Why do you want to take the life of the third son of the Qian family this time? Humph. My friend, if someone else kills your descendants, what should you do? Of course there is revenge for those who have a grudge, and there is a grudge against those who have a grudge. Su Junming frowned. You mean? As fellow Taoist guessed, the third son of the Qian family was hunting in the Qingyuan mountains 100 miles away from here half a month ago, and shot and killed my fourth son who was out playing. The revenge of this son's murder is my mother-in-law's. How could you not retaliate? Hu Sunyang said bitterly. The revenge for killing my son should naturally be avenged. It's just right and wrong. I can't just listen to your side of the story. What do you want? Hu Sunyang asked. Su Junming took out a grain of yellow rice. With a snap of his fingers, 9-colored yellow rice flew into the second floor and quickly detained Qian Fengzi's soul. As long as the life soul leaves the body for no more than 12 hours, nothing will happen. Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 203. Chapter 201 Hu Sunyang. My magical weapon can read memories. If the third son of the Qian family really killed your son, there must be evidence in it. After saying that, Su Junming used his magic power. A white cloud flew up from Qian Fengzi's soul, forming a 3-foot square cloud. Soon, scenes emerged from it. He had no intention of peeking into the memory of an ordinary person, and it was just a scene of a young man eating, drinking and having fun. As Su Junming continued to fast forward, the scene soon appeared of Qian Fengzi and a beautiful woman wearing a dress. Under the protection of more than a dozen gun-toting servants, they entered the mountains to hunt. Hare and deer kept falling to Qian Fengzi's gun. Not long after, a white fox appeared at the foot of the mountain in the distance. When the woman saw it, her face was filled with joy. Qian Fengzi shot the white fox to death in order to please him. Seeing this scene, what Hu Sunyang said was basically confirmed. This bastard. Qian Wanchun slapped his thigh and said bitterly. Now you should believe what I say, right? Although she was surprised by Su Junming's magic weapon, Hu Sunyang did not forget the business. After sending Qian Fengzi's soul back, Su Junming nodded. It is indeed the third son of the Qian family who provoked fellow Taoist disciples first. Plop. Qian Wanchun knelt down directly. Envzian Hu, this time it is indeed my son's fault. But he really doesn't know that the white fox is your heir. You mean, my son's death was in vain, Hu Sunyang interrupted angrily. No, 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 Qian Wanchun waved his hands repeatedly. Qian doesn't dare to ask the female fairy for forgiveness. I just want the female fairy Hu to be merciful and let my son go. I, Qian Wanchun, am willing to pay for my life. Don't kill my dad. Qian Shanshan stumbled over and stopped in front of Qian Wanchun. Please don't kill my dad. Shan'er. Qian Wanchun was excited, but he still said loudly. Someone, pull the young lady down. The old housekeeper did not dare to neglect, and quickly recruited several servants to pull Qian Shanshan down. No, Dad. Please, don't kill my dad. Hu Sunyang snorted coldly. Is this a trick? Save it. Every injustice has its owner. I, Hu Sunyang, never kill innocent people indiscriminately, but your son must pay for my son's life. Cough. With a cough, Su Junming attracted everyone's attention. Fellow Taoist, do you want to break your promise and get fat? Hu Sunyang asked. The only person here who can pose a threat to her is the Mission Taoist priest. No, it's just that I have a way to get the best of both worlds. Fellow Taoist, you might as well listen to it. Any solution? Hu Sunyang said subconsciously. The souls of your 4 sons should still be in your hands, right? That shot killed the body, but left the soul intact. Hu Sunyang nodded. I can pardon your 4 sons and make them the land gods of Bailey land, and let Qian's family do temple blessings. With the merits of Qian's family, I will ensure that your son's incense will last for hundreds of years and his divine status will not be lost. Can you become a god? Hu Sunyang said in disbelief. Able. Su Junming nodded affirmatively. Shenda Zhenju borrows the divine power of heaven and earth, which corresponds to Shinto. The deeper your understanding, the stronger your divine status is and the more divine power you can borrow. Especially at the blue basic talisman stage, you can pardon a few unscrupulous Mao gods. Saying land god is just to make it sound nicer. Unless Su Junming can advance to the red basic talisman, there is no way to pardon the earth god. Although the earth god is only the lowest god in Shinto, he is also a true god who has entered the divine book. Impossible, there has been no god in this world for a long time. Just because you don't know, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It is true that there is no righteous god in the world, but there is still the Mao god who is not a god. In the past, the imperial court called this type of god a yin temple. There were many such temples in Wu and Chu, and the Baoji Xian in the northeast also fell into this category. In the past, when there were miracles of righteous gods, temples of obscenity were often destroyed. In the biography of De Renja in the New Tang dynasty, there is a record of him destroying nearly 2,000 temples of obscenity in the land of Wu and Chu. But now that the world is connected, no one has cared about this kind of thing for a long time. Seeing her hesitation, Su Junming continued. I only give you one choice. It's up to you whether you believe it or not. However, you only killed the 3rd son of the Qian family out of anger. The souls of your 4th son will still have to reincarnate. If you are a god, with the merits of the Qian family, can protect your son's status as a god for 100 years. If your mother and son can always encourage the descendants of the Qian family to do good deeds and their merits will last, your son will also have long-lasting luck. It will be much better than trying to fight for immortality. Qian Wanchun is also a smart man and said quickly. Don't worry, great immortal, my Qian family will be sincere, and will worship the great immortal sun from generation to generation. Hu Sunyang hesitated for a while and nodded slowly. Okay, if you can really pardon and make my son a god, I will let Jian Fengzi go. It's a deal. Su Junming smiled. It's a deal. Su Junming turned his head. Master Jian, tomorrow you go ask a skilled craftsman to build a statue of God according to the image I gave you. After that, prepare 3 animals, melons and fruits as tribute, as well as incense, candles, paper money, Dharma altar flags, etc., and then use this Fu told me. Su Junming waved his hand, a ray of light penetrated Jianwan Chun's sea of consciousness, and a transmission note fell into his palm. Don't worry, Taoist master, I will prepare everything the Taoist master said as quickly as possible. Su Junming nodded. Fellow Taoist Hu, that's it for today. How about we meet again when the Jian family gets everything ready? Just follow what fellow Taoist said. After Su Junming smiled slightly, his figure disappeared. Hu Sunyang saw this in her eyes and was secretly shocked. It didn't feel the slightest fluctuation of spiritual energy. Are all the descendants of the great sect so powerful? He shook his head, glanced at Jianwan Chun, and quickly disappeared into the night. It was a matter of his son's life, so Jianwan Chun naturally did not dare to neglect it. Within 3 days, he prepared what Su Junming wanted. Taoist master, please see, these are prepared according to your instructions. If there are any missing items, I will immediately order someone to purchase them, Jianwan Chun said. Su Junming nodded. There are all kinds of animals and things, and they can be passed by at a glance. The most important thing is the statue of the god. Lifting the red cloth covering, a stone statue about half a man tall with a fox head but a human body appeared in Su Junming's eyes. This statue has smooth lines on its clothes, holding a sword in one hand and grains in the other, with a lotus platform under its feet. It looks a bit divine. This statue is pretty good. It was made by a famous artist, right? Taoist priest has a good eye. This is the craftsmanship of Zhang Sanjin, the most famous carver in the city, Ghost Hand. In order to ask him to make this statue in 3 days, I spent a total of 200 taels of silver. Su Junming nodded slightly. Good. Cover with red cloth. Let's go out of the city. Where to go? Now that the statue of the god is ready, of course we need to find a temple for him. Can't it be done in Wuchang City? The 3 towns of Jiangan are a place where tortoises and snakes gather together, and the purple air is steaming. Unless the gods of heaven and earth are righteous, they will not be able to carry the destiny of this place. It is a disaster rather than a blessing to reluctantly establish them. Eat as much food as you have the ability to do. A demon cultivator who has not yet entered Taoism cannot take advantage of the luck of the 3 towns in Jiangan. If you reluctantly make a decision, your life will be ruined in the future. After hearing what he said, Jianwan Chun did not dare to say anything more. They found a housekeeper and servant, loaded the things into the car, and left Wuchang under the leadership of Su Junming. Su Junming took out the feng shui disc, calculated the direction, and headed south. After walking for a long time, a big white fox appeared around. Su Junming glanced at it and didn't care. He just walked forward according to the calculated direction. This journey lasted 3 days. It was good at the beginning, but when we entered the mountains, it really became difficult. Fortunately, whenever he encounters difficulties, Su Junming will help. Although the mountain road was difficult, the process was smooth. This is it. Su Junming stopped. Jianwan Chun, who looked tired, cheered up and walked over with the support of 2 healthy servants. Taoist priest, have you found a place to build a temple? Su Junming nodded and pointed to the valley below. This is it. Jianwan Chun took a look. Beyond the mountains at the foot is a huge valley, more than 10 miles long from east to west, and 8 or 9 miles wide from north to south. A river flows out from the gap in the mountains, passes through the valley, splits the mountains, and flows into the distance. The surrounding scenery is beautiful, the birds are singing and the flowers are fragrant. It is indeed a good place. The only disadvantage is that there are many rocks and overgrown weeds at the bottom of the valley. Otherwise, it would be opened up into fertile farmland, and this would be a paradise. At this time, Hu Sunyang also jumped in front of Su Junming. Although the Qian family was still a little scared because they had seen her true form several times, they were no longer afraid. What do you think of this place, fellow Taoist Hu? It is indeed a good place to hide the wind and accept the water, with the golden pillars on your back, Hu Sunyang said. Taoist priest, this valley is surrounded by mountains. How do we get down? You guys come with me. Su Junming's feet flashed with an earthy yellow light, but he saw that the cliff on one side of the valley suddenly collapsed, and a 5-meter wide, sloping downward stone path took its place. Su Junming stepped forward, and the stone path couldn't help but extend, and actually cut out a sloped downward mountain road from the mountain. Everyone in the Qian family looked at the wide and flat mountain road at their feet, and then at the flat mountain a foot above their heads, wondering if they were still dreaming. This boy has such a strong earth element. Looking at the tall figure in front of her, Hu Sunyang thought to herself. The Taoist master is indeed a godlike figure. Qian Wan Chun praised. Hu Sunyang glanced at him and followed him like an arrow. Come on, let's follow. Qian Wan Chun reacted and quickly called his servants to follow him. The mountain road excavated by Su Junming is only open on the side facing the valley, and the rest is inside the mountain. For the convenience of entry and exit, every 100 meters, there is a flat road of 50 meters, which goes around the entire valley and reaches the bottom of the valley. The steps continued, and the earth-yellow auras spread out in a fan shape like a tide. Whenever shrouded in this spiritual light, the rocks and weeds break into pieces and turn into dark soil. Su Junming walked all the way, using his magic power to change the terrain. When he came to the north side of the valley, he felt a sudden flash of light under his feet. The soil surged up like a fountain, and the scene outside Jushuyi Zhuang appeared again in front of the Qian family. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest for us. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 204. Chapter 202, Conferred God. Stepping into the hospital, you walk through a courtyard of about 100 square meters, with 7-foot steps rising in the middle. On the steps is a temple with cornices and brackets. Su Junming waved, and the statue that had been carved earlier flew from outside the courtyard, flew into the temple, and sat in the 7-foot high shrine. Put the 3 animals and 6 flags you brought with you in the yard, Su Junming explained. Qian Wan Chun agreed and quickly ordered his subordinates to prepare. Seeing them busy, Su Junming walked into the temple and sat down cross-legged to restore the mana he had consumed previously. Hu Sunyang glanced at him and lay down on the steps outside the temple. After finishing the purchase, Qian Wan Chun walked up the stairs with some curiosity, walked into the temple, looked around, walked quickly to Su Junming, and said softly. Taoist, Taoist. What's the matter? Everything is arranged as you told me. Do you think? I know, you go and have a rest. You will spend the night here tonight. When the time comes tomorrow, I will start again. I will obey the Taoist priest's instructions. Qian Wan Chun agreed, bowed, turned around and walked out. Not long after, Hu Sunyang walked in. Is something wrong? He looked at the majestic young Taoist sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed. Fellow Taoist, are you practicing earth-based Taoism? That's right. After Hu Sunyang hesitated for a moment, she opened her mouth. A bit of cocky aura flew out of its mouth, and a piece of soil the size of an adult's fist, irregular in shape and rich in aura, appeared 3 feet in front of it. Dongjin's middle grade black crystal spiritual soil. Fellow Taoist is indeed a disciple of the great section. You can recognize him at a glance. After giving a compliment. I wonder if you have Huang Yadan in your body? I am willing to exchange it for this black crystal spiritual soil. Su Junming laughed dumbly. I originally thought that this fox came here for the matter of becoming a god tomorrow, but who would have thought that it was actually for business? How much Huang Yadan do you want? Since he learned how to make elixirs, the one he has made the most is Huang Yadan. Except for a small part for personal use, most of them are retained. Now there are hardly more than 2,000 pills piled in the bag. Plus what he got from the Wu family and Ren Xiang, it was even more. I originally wanted to take these Huangjidan and go to the market to buy some spiritual materials that I could use, but now that I have the opportunity, I feel free to exchange them. Moreover, although the black crystal spiritual soil is not as good as Dongjin's top quality 3-color territory, it is still rich in spiritual energy and is an excellent thing for cultivating spiritual fields. 200 yellow bud pills. Su Junming shook his head. If you, the black crystal soul sacrifice, become a magical weapon, I will give you 280 yellow bud pills, but you are just the material, not the magical weapon. I will give you a maximum of 140 pills. According to the prevailing rules in the cultivation world, unless it is rare and rare, the materials of Dongjin's middle grade are half the price of the middle grade magic weapon. The value of a medium grade magic weapon ranges from 100 to 300 Huangjidan, and the black crystal spiritual soil will naturally be worth half as much. Hu Sunyang also knew the price, made a mental assessment, and nodded. Su Junming took out a jade purification bottle the size of the belly of a finger. After releasing the compression of the pot sky, it instantly expanded 100 times. This jade purification bottle originally contained Xianshuang Yinsha. After he used it to perform the yin and yang great grinding, it is now used to contain Huangjidan. Although it is only a foot tall, there are nearly 10,000 Huangjidan inside. Half of them came from the Wu family. It can hold so much, so it is naturally compressed. After unlocking the seal, Su Junming stretched out his hand and countless yellow dots flew out. As soon as the left finger gesture changed, the yellow dot expanded rapidly and turned into a yellow bud pill the size of a soybean. There are 140 grains in here. Count them. Hu Sunyang took it and counted it, nodded, and with a burst of magic power, sent the black crystal spiritual soil to Su Junming. The latter accepted it. The deal is considered complete. Do you have any elixirs or other spiritual materials here? If so, I will buy them too. Everyone should go out and spend Huangyadan. If you can buy the materials you want here, you don't have to go to other markets. Hu Sunyang's eyes lit up and she nodded. It sensed the rich medicinal energy in the porcelain bottle just now. Opening his mouth, a few more things flew out. The size of a teapot, 300 refined Qingling gold, 3K yin grass, 6 purple Ganoderma lucidum, a genuine low-grade purple spotted lingzi, and a black iron sword. The Qingling gold that has been refined for 300 years is a low-grade Dongzhen spiritual material. Fortunately, the amount is not small. If it is tempered, 1 or 2 Dongjin's middle-grade Qingling gold can be refined. This kind of material with a Xinjian score is extremely flexible and is an indispensable spiritual material for practicing metallic magic weapons. Birdyin grass is shaped like a sparrow and grows in the shade of mountains. It is a good material for cultivating yin attribute elixirs. The 3 plants are all low-grade Dongzhen. Of the 6 purple Ganoderma lucidums, except for one which was of the middle grade of Dongzhen, the others were of the lower grade of Dongzhen. The purple spotted spiritual bamboo is really good. Although it is only a low-grade Dongzhen, it is also a rare spiritual root. If you cultivate it in the future, you may be able to advance it. Take this sword back. Fellow Taoist, is this a medium-grade magic weapon from the 5 treasure forbidden rules? Su Junming shook his head. He didn't want to use elixirs to buy something that could be easily refined. Seeing his resolute attitude, Hu Sunyang didn't say much and put the black iron sword back. What about the rest? I want them all. After some estimation, Su Junming spent 800 Huanjidan pills and bought them all. Fellow Taoist, how many elixirs do you have in this bottle? Hu Sunyang couldn't help but wonder after seeing that Su Junming took 800 Huanjidan, but the medicinal energy inside did not decrease at all. Su Junming pinched his fingers and sealed the medicine bottle. If you can come up with a few pieces of top quality or extremely high quality materials, you'll never know how many elixirs I have in them. Hu Sunyang shook her head. There are scattered monsters in the mountains, and they are short of money. How can they compare with the inheritance of the great sect of fellow Taoists? Su Junming smiled lightly and didn't say much. This Hu Sunyang is willing to sell Dongjin's middle-grade magical tools and materials. She must have Dongjin's top-grade or even top-grade stuff in her pocket at the bottom of the box. However, since she was unwilling to sell, Su Junming did not force it. After putting away the exchanged things into categories, continue meditating with your eyes closed. Hu Sunyang glanced at him and found a corner to lie down. The night passed quickly. Early the next morning, Su Junming arranged his clothes and stood in front of the altar. It has been a long time since he opened a Dharma altar. However, as a Taoist priest, everything is still so familiar. Purifying mantra. Mouth cleansing mantra. Purification mantra. Recite the 8 great Taoist mantras one by one. A faint white spiritual light bloomed from the altar and flags. Today we have Hu Fei, the son of the Hu family, who is of high moral character, sincere in temperament, and well-behaved. Su Junming praised him. According to what is recorded in the Shen de Zhenju, this is to state to heaven and earth that the person being sealed is a person of merit and virtue, not a fool. In this way, the success rate of becoming a god can be improved. Although Su Junming thinks this is completely unnecessary, if the way of heaven does not even know this, it will not be the way of heaven that countless practitioners fear like a tiger. But for the first time in life, it is better to follow the rules to become a god. If something goes wrong, the person will be in great trouble. Taoist disciple Su Junming pardoned him and named him the god of Bailey, and the world will learn from him. After that, he drew a divine talisman and punched it into the statue of the god. Mr. Hu hasn't returned to his throne yet. Hu Sunyang quickly opened her mouth, and a fist-sized white fox soul flew into the statue. The statue, which was as tall as half a man, instantly bloomed with a rich white aura. As the god he had pardoned, Su Junming also felt that he had a connection with the statue. It seemed that he could directly erase the Hu family's status as a god and even control his life and death. Shaking his head, Su Junming didn't want to get involved with Hu Sunyang. Gold comes from the earth, and white jade comes from the soil. 2 lines of seal script appear on the doorposts on both sides of the temple. The incense tablet dedicated to the local god of land. A tablet with gold characters on a black background flew to the altar table in front of the statue and landed steadily. Wan Chun, the Qian clan of Fengshen clan, kowtows. Su Junming sang loudly. Qian Wan Chun looked solemn, lifted up his clothes and knelt down to kowtow. In an instant, the aura of the statue tripled. Seeing this scene, Hu Sunyang's face showed joy, and Su Junming was also a little surprised. How can one be enshrined by a person with merit and virtue and gain so much divine power at once? Before, he said that Hu Fei would be pardoned and made the god of Bailey land, which was just an exaggeration. Now that Qian Wan Chun kneeled down, it was somewhat possible. Surprised, he did what he was supposed to do, but he didn't forget it. Kowtow to the Qian clan of the Fengshen clan. Several members of the Qian family who came with him also quickly knelt down and kowtowed. Their effect is certainly not as good as Qian Wan Chun. Kowtow to the good guest who is destined to serve God. The servants of the Qian family who came with him knelt down and kowtowed. Kowtow again. Qian Wanchun took the lead, and the Qian family and their servants kowtowed together. Kneel 3 times and kowtow 9 times. It's done. At this time, the aura of the earth god statue in the temple shot up 1 foot, and the Gujiazu, who was originally just a fox, turned into a god with the head of a fox and a body like the statue. He holds a sword in one hand, grains in the other, a gold ingot hanging on his chest, and a monk whose divine power is no less than the peak of his innate power. Thank you, Taoist priest Yuchen. Hu Fei said respectfully. Thank you, mother. If it weren't for her, you wouldn't be where you are today. Thank you, mother. Okay, I hope my son can practice well in the future and achieve enlightenment as soon as possible. Hu Sunyang also looked a little excited. Although Shinto practice is now extremely difficult, there is still something to think about, right? In comparison, immortal way is not much better. From the end of the Tang dynasty to the present, immortality has become a luxury. After Lu Bowen killed the dragon, Yuanying no longer existed. Su Junming has always wanted to become an immortal, but the more he cultivates, the less hope he feels. He cannot change the majestic trend of the end of heaven and earth. Therefore, since entering Taoism, he has been working hard to understand Huishan Taoism, hoping that one day in the future, when his cultivation reaches its peak, he can use this Taoism to escape from this world and find other worlds more suitable for cultivation. As for whether it can be done, Su Junming is not sure. But since there were past lives, he believed that there must be other worlds as well. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 205. Chapter 203, Red Fire Divine Light. These are the 7 souls of the 3rd son of the Qian family. After telling her son about the love between mother and son, Hu Sunyang followed her promise and returned Qian Fengzi's 7 souls. Su Junming put it away. Thank you. Hu Sunyang nodded and looked at him. You helped the Qian family so much, what benefits did they give you? I not only helped the Qian family, but also fellow Taoist. Did fellow Taoist give me any benefits? Hu Sunyang was slightly startled. Su Junming smiled faintly, turned around and walked to Qian Wanchun. Jushi Qian, your 3rd son's 7 souls have been recovered, you can rest assured. Thank you, Taoist priest, thank you, Taoist priest, Qian Wanchun said excitedly and thanked him repeatedly. He waved his hand. Now I want to send your son Chi Po back to his body, so let's go back first. Let the remaining people go back to Vuchang by themselves. Go back first. Qian Wanchun was stunned. Su Junming didn't bother to explain. Take out the yin yang das ho and seize Qian Wanchun. Let's go. The great Mo spiritual light bloomed, and under the urging of Su Junming's magic power, it soared into the sky like lightning. The servants of the Qian family exclaimed when they saw this scene. Hu Sunyang's pupils shrank and her expression changed drastically. Golden elixir. Thinking of the aura from before, I quickly understood. It should be a spiritual weapon. He actually has a spiritual weapon with him. After understanding this, Hu Sunyang secretly felt happy. Fortunately, Su Junming is an upright disciple who acts brightly and adheres to principles. Otherwise, their mother and son would have been destroyed long ago, let alone becoming gods. Master Qian, here we are. Qian Wanchun looked at his backyard, still in a daze. The scene of him just expelling the wind and controlling his energy, soaring for 9 days, almost made him think he was in a dream. Looking at the tall and elegant young Taoist next to him, Qian Wanchun stuttered. Taoist master, just now. Nothing, it's important to save your son, Su Junming said with a smile. Yes, please, Taoist priest. The 2 of them went upstairs. The woman they saw earlier and Qian Shanshan were there. Dad. Master. He gave his wife an affirmative look and moved out of the way. Please also ask the Taoist priest to cast a spell. Su Junming nodded, spread out his right hand, and a ball of 7-color brilliance flew into Qian Fengzi's body. Groans sounded. Wake up, master, Zhi'er is awake, the woman shouted excitedly. Qian Wanchun, who had been looking at his son, nodded excitedly. Thinking of all the hardships, I couldn't help but choke up. Third brother, you are awake. Qian Shanshan was also full of excitement. The family was reunited and the room was full of excitement. Su Junming felt a little redundant and left quietly. When the Qian family calmed down and wanted to express their thanks, they discovered that Su Junming was no longer there. As he left Qian's house, a golden light of merit as thick as an arm flew into his body. Su Junming felt happy. He had been busy for so long just for merit. Now this harvest can be regarded as considerable. Finally it's worth all my hard work. Back at Zi's house, Lu Pan, who was sitting cross-legged in the room, opened his eyes. Where's the little bluebird? Out. Lu Pan waved his hand, and a red rainbow light 7 inches wide and 3 feet long flew into Su Junming's palm. His consciousness immersed, and a space about 10 feet in size appeared in his heart. The space is filled with hot flames. Sure enough it happened. Su Junming's face showed joy. He took out an apple-sized crystal ball from the bag, with a dark red flame burning quietly inside. Are you planning to practice here? Lu Pan reminded. Su Junming suddenly realized. The Zi family's house is not their own cave. If you don't take precautions, with the power of Dongxian level spiritual fire, I'm afraid it will be reduced to ashes in an instant. Come on, let's go outside. He grabbed Lu Pan and urged Hu Tianshen to perform his magic. In a few moments, the two of them arrived at the riverside. Seeing that there was no one around, Su Junming took out the red rainbow light, removed the seal on the crystal ball, and threw it into the rainbow light. In an instant, the red rainbow light seemed to have taken a supertonic and grew crazily. Almost in the blink of an eye, it grew from 7 inches wide and 3 feet long to 7 feet wide and 3 feet long. Just as it continued to grow, an inexplicable wave came into Su Junming's heart, his face changed, and he quickly made a secret to suppress Hung Guang's growth. Now is not the time to overcome the tribulation. Examining the 3-foot-long rainbow in front of him, Su Junming could clearly feel the dark red hot flames in it. With a flick of his hand, red rainbow light swept across the river like a dragonfly on the water. As an astonishing burst of flame energy dissipated, in an instant, billowing mist swept across like an angry wave. Only a moment later, thick fog had already enveloped the river. The sudden fog caused the ships on the river to panic. Not good. Su Junming's face changed slightly, and he quickly used the Sunfan technique to stir up the rolling wind and disperse the heavy fog on the river. If due to his fault, the boats on the river capsized and innocent people were injured, the good fortune he had just earned from Qian Wanchun would probably be wasted. Seeing that nothing happened, he breathed a sigh of relief. He stretched out his hand and the 3-foot-long red rainbow light slowly shrank until it became the size of a 3-inch-long thick steel needle and fell into his palm. This red long needle does not feel the slightest bit of heat. Xiaozhu Tianyunjin's true method is indeed unparalleled in its magic, and it doesn't leak even a trace of fire. After spending more than a year, with the help of the bronze mirror, he understood the little Zushan Yun Taoist true method from the Paradise Soul House. He then understood the function of this gate ban method. This is indeed a more advanced world-opening method than the Hushan technique recorded in the Hushan talisman. There is no need to have innate 5-element spiritual objects like the Hushan talisman. As long as there is a trace of innate air as the foundation, the Xiaozhu forbidden true law can derive a small space, and then continue to add the back air, and the space will slowly become larger until it becomes the world. The Kinkan paper in Gazeo Mountain is a spiritual object containing innate qi. Similarly, Su Junming's red rainbow light was developed with a trace of innate flame energy as its foundation and through ritual training. As for the source of this innate flame, I have to thank the cold flame bug mother. Her original yin fire gave birth to a wisp of innate ding fire qi. It turned out that Su Junming asked Renwuji to use his innate yin and yang qi to cooperate with the yin and yang great grinding, and use the method of combining yin and yang to refine the yin fire of the cold flame stink bug mother. Enter Xiang Lantern. At that time, I can also have one more spiritual weapon. Who would have thought that the light that combines yin and yang could be mastered? But as the material of the lamp holder, it cannot carry the flame that has reached the cave level. Su Junming thought hard, and an idea flashed in his mind. He combined Xiaozu Tianyun's forbidden method with this Dongxian level flame to refine the red fire divine light in his hand. On the surface, this is a red beam, but in fact it is the manifestation of a world of flames. After playing with it in his hand, Su Junming slapped the red fire light behind his head. The rainbow light, the size of a steel needle, disappeared into the hair. "Why didn't you let it survive the disaster just now?" Lu Pan asked. "It's still a bit early now. It won't be too late to overcome the tribulation after accumulating a lot." Su Junming was afraid that the red fire divine light that he had finally cultivated would be destroyed by thunder. One more thing. Little Bluebird recently discovered that many practitioners have come to the three towns of Jiangan and Han recently. Do you know the reason? It's not clear yet. But the storm is gathering here, and something big should happen. Su Junming pondered for a moment. Then just stay a few more days and wait and see. Originally, he planned to send Zitong to reincarnation after finishing the Qian family's affairs, and then go to Kunlun himself to find the whereabouts of his master. Now it seems that the trip is temporarily unavailable. The next day after returning to the Zi family, the servant of the Zi family, the third son, knocked on his door. "What's the matter?" "Taoist priest, please go to the living room. The Qian family is here." The mistress deliberately reminded him. Su Junming was not surprised by this. When he came downstairs, he found that there were indeed many servants of the Qian family in the yard. "Step into the main room." Zi Qing was accompanying him, as were Qian Wanchun, Qian Fengzi who looked a little pale, Qian Shanshan who looked curious, and Lin Fengxiang, who they had met once before. In addition to them, there was also a middle-aged Taoist wearing a purple Taoist robe, holding a floating dust in his hand, with 3 long beards on his chin, and a golden crown on his head. He looked like an immortal. As soon as Su Junming came in, everyone stood up. Qian Wanchun stepped forward quickly, with his hands clasped in his fists and his face filled with gratitude. The Taoist master left in a hurry yesterday and didn't have time to express his thanks. Today I specially brought my son to visit me to express my gratitude. After saying that, he turned around and said, "You son of a bitch, why don't you thank the Taoist master for saving your life?" Qian Fengzi's knees weakened and he was about to kneel down. Su Junming waved his right hand, and a secret force held him up. "I don't like to kneel down and worship. Just get up and talk. Since the Taoist master asked you to stand and speak, you should stand and speak," Qian Wanchun said. Qian Fengzi nodded, bowed to Su Junming first, and then expressed gratitude. "Thank you, Taoist master, for taking action, otherwise my soul, Qian Fengzi, would have returned to the underworld at this moment. I also see that your Qian family is a family that has accumulated good deeds and has many merits. And you made a mistake unintentionally, so you helped me. No matter what, Taoist master's great kindness in saving his life will never be forgotten by Qian Fengzi. I just hope that you can remember today's cause and effect in the future, be kind to others, don't kill indiscriminately, and live up to the poor people's hard work." Yes, Qian Fengzi will remember the Taoist priest's teachings and will never forget them throughout his life. Su Junming nodded and looked at the purple-robed Taoist. Fellow Taoist, are you here, are you busy? The purple-robed Taoist beat his head. This poor Taoist is Chen Lingyun, the master of the Xianyang temple here. I heard that fellow Taoist took action to solve the troubles in the Jian family, so I came here to pay a visit. I hope that fellow Taoist will not blame me for being presumptuous. Su Junming understood instantly. Qian Fengzi was trapped by Hu Sunyang and fell into coma. Qian Wanchun hired him from the beginning. However, his moral character was limited and he did not solve the Qian family's affairs. Now that Qian Fengzi is awake and the disaster has subsided, of course he has to see with his own eyes who is the master who solved the fox demon that he could not solve. Looking at his cultivation, he was in the late Xiantian stage and was indeed no match for Hu Sunyang, whose cultivation had reached the peak of Xiantian. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 206. Chapter 204, Dao Sec's Journey to the West. Su Junming raised his hand. Su Junming, the southern sect of Mission, has met fellow Taoist monks. Chen Lingyun's eyes lit up, and his tone was a little excited. Fellow Taoist, is the Su Junming who won the top prize in the competition between the north and south sects of Mission Mountain in Changchun Valley. 1 verses 4. If there is no second Su Junming in the world, the one Taoist friend is talking about is me. Su Junming looked calm. Although I feel a little proud, I can't lose my integrity. Oops, I didn't expect it to be the famous Swanyan Ba Dao Su Dao in front of me, disrespectful and disrespectful. Su Junming's eyes twitched. He really didn't want to hear the name Swanyan Ba Dao. But unfortunately, all the fellow practitioners I met always felt that this name was very domineering, so they mentioned it whenever they met. He didn't bother to correct it. When I break through to the realm of seeing the truth in the future, Master, I must choose a Taoist name that I am satisfied with and completely get rid of this bad name, Su Junming thought to himself. You're welcome, fellow Daoist Chen. I didn't expect Chen Guanzu to know Taoist Su Jian Wanchun said. Haha, Taoist friend Su's name is well known to everyone in the cultivation world, and I have naturally heard of it. Hearing this, everyone's eyes changed slightly when they looked at Su Junming. Chen Lingyun's tone did not seem to be false. In this case, the young Taoist in front of him was indeed as extraordinary as he said. Thank you, fellow Daoist Chen. Su Junming said calmly. Taoist Master Su, Guanzu Chen, and Brother Zi will hold a banquet in the mansion today. One is to celebrate the child's recovery, and the other is to thank the 2 Taoist masters for their help. At the same time, we are also grateful to Brother Zi for his help. I hope you 3 will not refuse, Jian Wanchun said respectfully. Su Junming didn't want to go. But after thinking about it, I decided to go ahead. I got a lot of merit from Jian Wanchun, so I have to give him some face. Seeing his promise, Chen Lingyun naturally would not refuse. Zi Qing lives in the common world and has heard of Jian Wanchun's reputation for a long time. He is not qualified to step into the Jian family, so he is even more willing to do so. A group of people went to Jian's house for a banquet, which lasted for an hour and a half. Ji Shi Jian, the Earth Temple is closely related to your Jian family and is connected by good luck. It should be taken care of by good people. In addition, although the 3 towns of Jiangan are prosperous, they do not always enjoy peace and happiness. If there is a war, the Jian family can take refuge in that valley. Disaster. Thank you, Taoist priest, for your warning. Jian Wanchun will take it to heart. Farewell. Taoist master, walk slowly. Su Junming nodded and left the Jian mansion. As I walked around the corner, my footsteps stopped. If you 2 don't come out, I'll be rude to you. At the corner of the street, 2 black figures slowly walked out. It looked like it was Lin Hangxiang and his friend James. Taoist master, we have no ill intentions. It's just that my friend admires Taoist magic and wants to be your teacher. He also hopes that the Taoist master will abandon his sectarian views and teach you a thing or two. James nodded repeatedly and saw Su Junming frowning. He was afraid that he would leave again, so he quickly took out the apprenticeship ceremony he had prepared in advance from his pocket. Get down on your knees. Please master, please accept me. Chinese dialect with strange accents, stumbling. Obviously this is just for beginners. Su Junming waved his sleeves, supported his body, and wanted to leave with a warning. But after his eyes glanced at the thing in his palm, he paused. He stretched out his hand and a piece of silver white metal, about the size of a walnut, fell into his palm. Where did this thing come from? James had a look of confusion on his face. Lin Hangxiang knew that he didn't understand, so he quickly translated. After James finished speaking, he translated to Su Junming. But in fact, he didn't need to translate. Su Junming, who had passed set -6 in English in his previous life and had worked in a foreign company, could also understand it. This is something I saved from a silver mine owner when I was studying in Brazil. He gave it to me. Su Junming nodded, feeling a little excited. This small piece of silver white metal is mithril, and it is natural 2000 refined mithril, a middle-grade spiritual material from Dongxian. This was the first time he had seen such a treasure. After seeing it, he was not going to let it go. 2000 refined mithrils of the middle grade of Dongxian are priceless and top-notch treasures in the world of cultivation. You want to learn Taoism? This time Su Junming directly used English. Lin Hangxiang and James were stunned. A native Chinese Taoist priest could actually speak English. It was really rare in this era. Su Junming raised his eyebrows. With the powerful spiritual consciousness of Taoist monks, especially innate monks, it is easy to learn a language without speaking it, but it is not much different. It's just that they don't want to learn. Su Junming also benefited from the accumulation in his previous life to be able to speak so smoothly. If you don't say anything, Pandeo will leave. James nodded repeatedly after reacting. Master, I want to learn, and I want to worship you as my teacher. James looked excited. Su Junming nodded slightly and grabbed his shoulders. Since you want to learn, come with me. With a movement, the two people disappeared instantly. Seeing this scene in his eyes, Lin Hangxiang couldn't help but show a hint of envy in his eyes. But he was unwilling to give up his glory and wealth to practice Taoism. Arriving at Qishan Mountain outside Jianghan 3 towns, Su Junming found an open place and landed. James stood firm, with an excited expression, and looked at Su Junming expectantly. He also longed that he could fly away from the sky and have powerful magic power like the other party. Looking at the young foreigner in front of him, he has a lot of merit and virtue, and is obviously not a lecherous person. In this case, we can't just accept it and deny it. Su Junming touched his chin and pondered for a moment. Forget it, let's do our part for the Dao sect to the west. After waving his hand and gesturing for him to sit down, Su Junming followed the soul connection. How many more bodies do you have on hand? According to this, 130 miles away, a middle-aged man wearing a Taoist robe, with his hair tied in a bun, but with an obvious Caucasian appearance, opened his eyes. He glanced at the body next to him dressed in black linen. 2 more. Send them back quickly, I have something else for you to do. New. The middle-aged man nodded, waved 2 talismans, and placed them on the heads of the 2 corpses. With a flash of light, they were instantly compressed to the size of a steel needle. The man reached out and made a move, and after flying into his palm, his body turned into a huge black bat with a wingspan of 3 feet, and it flapped its wings and disappeared into the night sky. This man is Su Junming, who used the vampire zombies in Anyuan town to become a divine general. After using Yang Qi to activate his body, he transformed into a bat, something similar to a magical power, and also revived. However, the vampires transformed into bats, and apart from flying and escaping, they didn't seem to have much powerful combat power. Compared with Renwuji's magical yin-yang scissors, it's not even a bit worse. But having magical powers is better than not having magical powers. Just for flying, I envy all the monks who have not yet achieved the golden elixir. And when escaping, he can transform into nearly 100 black bats. As long as one escapes, he may survive. Taoist priest. After sitting cross-legged for half an hour, James' legs were numb and there was no movement. I had no choice but to ask tentatively. This guy can bear it until now, so he has some composure. Since I have accepted your apprenticeship ceremony, I will accept you as a registered disciple. James didn't know the difference between a registered disciple and a true disciple. When he heard that his wish came true, he quickly got up with joy. According to Lin Fengxiang's words, he knelt on his knees and kowtowed 3 times. Disciple pays homage to master. Su Junming nodded slightly. Open your mouth. James nodded quickly, flicked his fingers, and a yellow bud pill fell down his throat. Su Junming used magic power to help him dissolve the medicine. James felt a heat in his body surrounding his whole body. It didn't last long, but he felt energetic and much stronger. I instantly felt that my idea of becoming a disciple was the right one. Thank you, Master. He took out a copy of the Tao Te Ching from his bag of magic and threw it over. In the next 3 days, your task is to recite it. James took it and took a look at it. It was full of square words. It knows itself, but it does not know it. Master, I can't read, James said awkwardly. I know, someone will teach you later. James nodded. Seeing that Su Junming didn't speak, he also kept silent. Another half an hour passed, and the sound of flapping wings came from far away. Su Junming looked towards the night sky, and what he saw was a huge black bat, rushing towards him like lightning. At first it was still far away, but in the blink of an eye it was close. The wings shook, and the bat's body flashed with mysterious light, and it landed on the ground and transformed into a white Taoist priest wearing a blue robe, carrying a bag of magic on his back, and wearing a golden crown on his head. Hearing the footsteps behind him, James subconsciously looked back. When he saw that the other person had the same skin color as himself, but was wearing a Taoist robe, he couldn't help but be startled. This is your Uncle Matt. Uncle Matt, I am James. I just joined the master, James said quickly. After saying that, he extended his right hand towards Matt. Looking at the palm stretched out in front of him, he had been reborn for many years, and he was not used to the etiquette of his previous life. He shook it briefly. From today on, your Uncle Matt will teach you some basic knowledge of Taoism. Once you have mastered it, I will teach you my secret knowledge. Since we want to preach to the West, of course we must learn Taoist classics such as the Tao Te Ching, the Yellow Emperor's Yin Fu Jing, and the Tai Shang Miao Pinyu Renjing. However, it takes a lot of time to cultivate James into a Taoist priest from the inside out. Su Junming didn't have the time, so he asked Matt, the puppet, to do it for him. Yes. From now on, you can take him with you to practice Taoism, and by the way, give him what you need to teach. Matt nodded. Where's Taoism? Su Junming thought for a moment. Since he is a registered disciple, missions Taoism must not be taught. Just stick to the old rules. The so-called old rule is to only teach the 4 elephants' palm, and the registered disciples he accepts basically receive this treatment. Matt nodded. Follow me. James nodded, bowed to Su Junming, and then followed Matt away. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 208. Chapter 205 Tianxing's Hu. Accepting James as a named disciple was just an accident. Preaching in the West only comes from accidental ideas. If it succeeds, of course it would be better. If it doesn't, it's just a matter of repaying the cause and effect. He took out the Dongxian middle grade 2000 refining mithril and played with it for a moment, then took out a jade box from the magic bag and removed the sealing talisman. Inside, an egg-sized piece of milky white metal appeared in front of his eyes. This is the 1000 refined white iron he got from the Wu family, a portion of Dongxian low grade. Gold, silver, copper, iron, and tin, the masters of hardware, now have 2 Dongsuan level materials. After pondering for a moment, he stretched out his hand and a long red needle flew into his hand from the back of his head. Dongxian grade materials are stronger than Dongzhen grade materials because they contain innate air that contains the innate Tao charm. The higher the grade, the more innate air. 1000 refined white iron and 2000 refined mithril are naturally no exception. Therefore, Su Junming now has 2 choices. One is to imitate the red fire divine light and refine a Zhengjin divine light that is full of the energy of metal. The second is to continue searching for fine gold, red copper, and black iron to practice a natal flying sword that corresponds to the way of swordsmanship. After thinking for a moment, Su Junming put away the red fire divine light, put the white iron and mithril together into the magic bag. Practicing the Zhengjin divine light corresponding to the gold element can only add 1 magical weapon or spiritual weapon at most. The flying sword corresponds to his own natal magic weapon. Which one is more important is clear at a glance. After checking the time, Su Junming didn't go back to Zi's house. He meditated until dawn and then came to the south of the city. He looked up at the Taoist temple with red walls and grey tiles surrounded by trees, and stepped inside. In the front yard paved with blue bricks, a teenage Taoist priest was cleaning fallen leaves. Seeing Su Junming come in, his eyes lit up and he quickly came over and asked. "Are you Su Junming, Taoist Master Su?" "Exactly. Is Daozang Chen here?" "The master of the temple is waiting for you at the Guanlin Pavilion in the left courtyard." "I will take you there." "Thank you." Yesterday when they were separated in Qian's mansion, Chen Lingyun invited him to come and get together today. Su Junming happened to have something to ask, so he agreed casually. "I came here today as an invitation." The little Taoist put down his broom and led him around the Sanking Hall at the front, through the hanging flower gate on the left, and to the left courtyard. This is a garden covering an area of more than 300 to 400 square meters. The ancient trees are quiet, the flowers are blooming, and the crisp chirping of birds brings out a sense of remoteness and makes people feel good. An octagonal pavilion is located on the lake. There is a stone table in the pavilion and a teapot on the table. The fragrance of tea is faint and refreshing. Chen Lingyun was wearing a purple Taoist robe and poured himself a drink. Seeing Su Junming come in, he quickly stood up to greet him. "Fellow Daoist Su is here to make my little Guanpengbi shine." "You're welcome, fellow Daoist Chen." He took out a box of tea leaves from the bag and handed it over. "I came in a hurry and didn't bring anything valuable. Some of the tea I usually drink is quite delicious. I hope fellow Taoist friends will accept it." These tea leaves are harvested from his tea garden. His tea garden comes from the Wu family and has roots that have been cultivated for hundreds of years. Although it is not a spiritual seed, it is still spiritual and has a pure taste. Chen Lingyun took it, sniffed it slightly, and his eyes lit up. The new leaves from a 300-year-old tea tree are rare and rare among the best teas. This gift from fellow Taoist is too generous. Haha, fellow Taoist, it's good if you don't dislike it. How can you despise such a good thing? Fellow Taoist, please take a seat. Please. Chen Lingyun picked up the teacup, and with a casual move, a ball of water appeared out of thin air. After wrapping the teacup, washed it, and placed it in front of Su Junming. He picked up the purple clay teapot and poured it in. He filled half a cup of light green tea with a refreshing fragrance. Although my Qingfeng tea is not as good as Taoist friend's 300-year-old root, it is still cultivated by poor Taoist people. I also invite Taoist friend to taste it. I don't know much about the tea ceremony. I hope fellow Taoists won't be offended if a cow chews peonies. You are too kind, fellow Taoist Su, please. After Su Junming nodded, he picked up the teacup. After signaling from afar, the two drank from each other. What do you think of my tea, fellow Taoist Su? The taste is round and the lips and teeth are moist. It's really good. Haha, as long as fellow Taoist likes it. Su Junming smiled slightly. I think fellow Taoist Chen is also a talisman sect, don't you know? I am not a descendant of a large section. The founder of the Swanyaguan lineage, was a casual cultivator in the early Ming dynasty, and my inheritance has lasted for 9 generations. Chen Lingyun shook his head and said. That's it? It's because I'm ignorant. Chen Lingyun waved his hand. There are not many disciples in Xianyang Temple, and there have never been any great monks in the past. It is normal for Taoist friends not to know. After a pause. I heard that fellow Taoist Su is good at refining weapons. I wonder if I can refine another magical weapon for you. 2 years ago, when Su Junming was still in the inner sect of Mission, he had refined magical weapons for many of his fellow sects, and most of them were high-grade magical weapons. Almost every weapon refiner who can refine high-grade magic weapons is called a weapon refiner master in the practice world, and he has a name and a surname, and is known to everyone. Coupled with Su Junming, who came first in the competition between the two factions in Changchun Valley, and who was blessed by many names such as Golden Elixir Seed, everyone was paying attention to his every move. His skill in refining weapons naturally spread. Chen Lingyun knew that he was not surprised. What magical weapon do you want to refine? Fellow Taoist, please take a look. Chen Lingyun took out a large jade bowl from the magic bag, removed the sealing talisman and opened it, and a rich Ren Shui spiritual energy dissipated. Dongjin's top quality Yuelan spiritual water. The Taoist friend's vision is exactly Yuelan Ling Shui. With such a pot of Yuelan spiritual water, I'm afraid Daiyu Chen must have put in a lot of hard work, right? Even though Xianyang Temple is backed by the Yangtze River and has rich water vapor, condensing the top-notch Yuelan spiritual water in the cave is not something that can be achieved overnight. Thanks to my ancestors' protection, otherwise I wouldn't have this bowl of spiritual water. Su Junming nodded. Having a sect you can rely on, no matter how big or small, is much happier than being a casual cultivator. What magical weapon do you want to refine, fellow Taoist? Flags, and magic swords are both acceptable. According to the rules of the cultivation world, refining the best magic weapon requires 4 to 6 points. Fellow Taoist, can you practice the best magic weapon? Chen Lingyun exclaimed. Su Junming said in surprise. This is Dongjin's top-grade spiritual water. Isn't this Taoist priest a top-grade magic weapon? Yes, of course it is a top-quality magic weapon. Chen Lingyun nodded repeatedly with a slightly excited look, looking at the young Taoist in front of him with amazement. It is said that Mission Nanzong Su Junming has extraordinary understanding, and now it seems that it is true. I didn't expect that I could practice the best magic weapon. Although he took out Dongjin's top-grade spiritual water, he only intended to practice a high-grade magic weapon with 9 treasures. Then, use the method of sacrificial training of the natal magic weapon, and rely on water grinding skills to refine a top-quality magic weapon. If he could directly refine a top-quality magic weapon, he would definitely be willing to do so. After all, most of the masters in the cultivation world who can refine the best magic weapons are golden elixirs. Even if it wasn't, it wouldn't be possible for a small family like him to see him. If you want someone to help him refine a top-quality magic weapon, there is basically no chance. Fellow Taoist, according to the rules, I have to share 40% of this spiritual water. Although Chen Lingyun felt physical pain, he also knew that this was the basic rule for refining the best magical weapons in the cultivation world. And sometimes, even if you have the materials, people may not help you practice. Everything is according to what fellow Taoist said. Su Junming nodded. I have something to ask fellow Taoist Chen. I don't know what's going on. Recently, many monks have gathered in the 3 towns of Jiangan. Do fellow Taoists know the reason? The biggest reason why Su Junming came to Swaniaguan for the appointment was to clarify this issue. Chen Lingyun, as a local snake in the 3 towns of Jiangan, knew the answer as he expected. Fellow Taoist, don't you know? Su Junming shook his head. Then why did you come to Jiangan 3 towns? I drove the body here. I see. Most of the entire cultivation world knows about mission's exorcism of corpses to accumulate merit. Chen Lingyun organized the language. Half a month ago, a spiritual light shone directly on the bullfight near Tianxing's Hu, and an ancient monk was born in the cave. As the news spread, more and more monks gathered here. I thought that fellow Taoists also came here for this cave. Su Junming suddenly realized. Monks' caves or monasteries are equipped with spiritual gathering arrays. The spiritual energy inside is generally better than the outside world. Once a person is born, spiritual light will appear. This is common knowledge in the spiritual world. Since it's been half a month since the cave was born, why hasn't it been occupied yet? There is a large formation guarding the outside of the cave. Although it has not been maintained for a long time and is no longer enough to protect the cave, not everyone can enter. It seems that Taoist friend has already been there, Su Junming said with a smile. I am naturally tempted by the opportunity that is so close at hand. However, my family knows about my family affairs, so I really have no ability to get involved. Rather than die because of greed, it is better to guard my Xianyang temple, which is 1/3 of an acre. Practice Taoism with peace of mind. Su Junming smiled and nodded. Fellow Taoist can still see clearly. I have no choice but to do this. If I have the ability of a fellow Taoist, I will definitely give it a try, Chen Lingyun said with a wry smile. So, the matter of refining weapons for fellow Taoists will be delayed for a few days. Chen Lingyun was stunned for a moment and then reacted. Then I wish you all the best in advance. Thank you. After bidding farewell to Chen Lingyun and leaving Xianyang Temple, Su Junming went straight to Tianxing's Hu, which is 10 miles away from Wuchang. Tianxing's Hu is a small island in the Yangtze River. There are 3 villages and hundreds of households on the island. Tianxing's Hu, which is usually rarely visited by people, has been visited by outsiders in the past half-month. Moreover, most of them are monks, and there are also many strange-looking people. The villagers didn't know what was going on, but seeing how generous these people were when renting their own houses, they didn't pay much attention. Su Junming stepped into Tianxing's Hu. According to Chen Lingyun, the entrance to the ancient cave is in the center of Tianxing's Hu and is not difficult to find. This is also true. As soon as he arrived here, Su Junming saw a stone pillar 5 feet high and nearly 2 feet in diameter standing on the land. The stone is blue-black in color and looks extremely hard. The locals call this stone Wuzang Peak. Because it is abrupt, sharp, and unique, it seems a bit sacred, so it often enjoys the sacrifices of the 3 surrounding villages. The villagers also built a small earth temple half a person's height east of the Wuzang Peak. Usually on the 1st and 15th day of the lunar month, a few sticks of incense will be placed to offer sacrifices. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 209. Chapter 206, 5 Zhang Peak Cave Sky. On the field ridges around Wuzang Peak, there are many monks, Taoists, and lay people standing or sitting. Even the scorching sun didn't notice it at all. There were occasional farmers watching around. After looking at the diorama for a while, they couldn't see anything, so they shook their heads and left. Only those who have entered the late stage of foundation building and have developed spiritual consciousness can sense the slightest fluctuation of the formation coming from Wuzang Peak. With the help of the bronze mirror, Su Junming could clearly see the dense array of spiritual patterns in the Wuzang Peak, which was almost as good as the Aoki Huishan formation. The Aoki Kaishan formation is a formation of the Great Whole Perfection level, which can withstand the middle stage of the Golden Elixir without using anything to suppress the formation. The great formation in front of me was filled with auras of light, and there was no sense of vanity. It was obvious that the main thing holding the formation was still there. It's just that this formation is obviously missing a corner, so that there are loopholes. Look at the defect, which corresponds to a crack on Wuzang Peak. The crack was a foot long and half an inch wide. The traces are very new and should not have been around for long. Recalling Chen Lingyun's words, Su Junming probably understood that someone should have accidentally injured the Wuzang Peak, which was used to set up the formation, due to a fight, causing the spiritual energy to leak. Moreover, there is a trace of sword energy left on the trace, and the spiritual consciousness touches it, and it is sharp and sharp. It can be seen that the person who left it must have an extremely high level of swordsmanship. Senior brother. Just when Su Junming was about to go in, a familiar and excited voice made him turn his head subconsciously. Immediately afterwards, a chubby fat man wearing a yellow robe came into view. Junior brother Dihua. Haha, senior brother, I didn't expect to meet you here. Lu Dihua ran over like the earth was shaking and the mountains were shaking, and he was about to give his senior brother a warm hug. However, it was blocked by the latter's magic power. He wasn't used to being hugged by a man in public. After trying several times to no avail, Lu Dihua lowered his arms angrily. Senior brother Su. A gentle voice sounded from behind Luda's incarnation. Xiaoyu is here too. This girl who looks like a jade from a small family is none other than Megu Shanfang City, the lord of natural residence, Yu Yinggu's disciple, Yu. I came here with senior sister and the others. After saying that, he quickly turned sideways, revealing Fu Honglian and Qiu Ling behind him. The former is dressed in red and carries a sword. The latter was dressed in green and holding a wooden stick in his hand. The former is graceful and beautiful, while the latter is beautiful with a hint of coquettishness. As for cultivation, they are all in the middle stage of Xiantian. However, as a senior sister, Fu Honglian was obviously taller, her aura was unstable, and she was on the verge of a breakthrough. Su Junming smiled and nodded towards the two of them. Are you Su Junming, the Swanyan tyrant sword? Qiu Ling took a step forward, with curiosity in his tone. I am Su Junming. He doesn't like the Swanyan tyrant sword. It doesn't look like anything special, Qiu Ling pouted. Senior sister. Yu quickly pulled her hand. Fu Honglian was also looking at the young Taoist opposite. Since returning to Tianashanju more than 2 years ago, the master had mentioned this person to her more than once. What made her even more distressed was that the master actually planned to commit herself to the other party as a Taoist companion. Although the other party has extraordinary talents and high cultivation, and is a direct disciple of Mission Nanzang. He is a high-profile young genius in the cultivation world and is an ideal partner, but she already has her heart set on something. Thinking of this, he subconsciously glanced at the handsome and elegant man beside him. Linger is right. Compared with my senior brother, he is quite different, especially in appearance. The speaker was standing next to Qiu Ling, a young man wearing a moon-white robe, with a long and thin face and oddly large eyes. As soon as these words came out, everyone's expressions changed, especially Lu Dihua's. But not before he could speak. Junior brother Feng must not be irrational. After scolding, the man standing next to Fu Honglian, wearing a purple robe, handsome, holding a jade flute in his hand, and with a face like a crown of jade, held his hand towards Su Junming. My junior brother has spoken against brother Su Dao, and I hope that Brother Deo will be magnanimous and don't take offense. Let's go downstairs to watch Taoist disciple Luo Yu and take him to apologize to Brother Su. Senior brother. Luo Yu glared, and the young man closed his mouth unwillingly. But the look he looked at Su Junming was provocative. Su Junming has seen too much in his 2 lifetimes for such young people who have never been beaten up by society and always feel that they are very awesome. Don't bother to argue with him. When it came to Luo Yu, he had heard a lot. In the world of spiritual practice, this person is a leader among the younger generation. Together with Qin Hongying and Bai Sanjian, he is known as the 3 heroes of Laguan Taoism. As a leader among the Jindan sect, he must be extraordinary to be able to overpower his peers and dominate the younger generation. Not to mention anything else, this person is not inferior to him in terms of cultivation alone. It turns out that Brother Luo from Laguan Deo was disrespectful in person. As for the apology, there is no need for it. After that, he turned his head. Junior brother, wait until I come out of this cave to reunite with my junior brother. Lu Dihua said quickly. Brother, I'm with you. He had long disliked the guy named Feng, and always ridiculed him for his low cultivation, fat body, and unworthy of Yuer. If it weren't for Yuer's pull, plus Fu Honglian and Luo Yu's pressure, the two almost came to blows several times. No. He patted his shoulder and heard a message from his spiritual consciousness. Keep an eye on your little wife and don't make things too difficult for her. After saying that, he slightly arched his hands towards everyone. Su Junming took a step forward, his figure was like lightning, and he submerged into the Wuzang Peak in the blink of an eye. The people sitting around opened their eyes at the same time. There are many people who can understand the outermost formation and enter, but there are even more people who are blocked from the outside. Senior brother's formation cultivation is really high, Lu Dihua exclaimed. What are you proud of? The outer formation is the simplest and is damaged. If we had come a few days earlier, we would have gone in by now. Feng Wuidao. Feng, do you want to fight? Lu Dihua said angrily. Just fight, who is afraid of you? Okay, you two, stop arguing, Fu Honglian said quickly. She also had a headache. One was her second junior sister's fiancé, and the other was her younger junior sister's future Taoist companion. She, the senior sister, was caught in the middle, and it was really difficult. After receiving the warning look from his senior brother, Feng Wu snorted coldly and turned away without saying anything. Yuer also quickly pulled Lu Dihua's arm. Looking at her face, Lu Dihua turned his head and sat down. Everyone, hurry up and understand. Let's join the battle. If it's too late, all the good things will be taken away by others, Luo Yu said quickly. Yuer and Xiu Ling each comforted their Taoist companions, and the scene finally calmed down. As soon as Su Junming entered the formation, a small valley appeared in front of him. The valley is dark on all sides, and only the sky can be seen above the head. At the same time, you can also vaguely see those people sitting cross-legged outside the Wuzang Peak to meditate on the formation. It was obvious that he was already within the Wuzang Peak at this moment. He withdrew his gaze and looked around. The valley is about 1,000 acres in size. Although the spiritual energy is rich and far superior to the outside world, it has not been developed into a spiritual field. Therefore, there are naturally no magic medicines, spiritual plants, etc. And most of the cave is made of hard rock. This is strange. Why doesn't it look like a monk's cave? If he had such a spiritually rich cave heaven paradise, he would definitely manage it well instead of leaving it deserted. However, seeing that the people who had come early were all in front, I temporarily suppressed my confusion and walked over. The center of Dongtian is a small lake of about 50 acres. A small house made of bamboo and wood is located in the center of the lake. There is no doubt that that small house is the core of this ancient monk's cave. But that's where the formation protection is the most stringent. 20 or 30 monks were sitting around the lake, sometimes happy and sometimes sad. Obviously they are all studying the formation. With the help of the bronze mirror, Su Junming quickly figured out the context of the formation. Someone has already rushed ahead, and there is no time to understand it carefully. The god of Hushan performs magic. Su Junming took a step forward and disappeared instantly. When he reappeared, he was outside the door of the bamboo building in the center of the lake. The three people sitting cross-legged on the corridor outside the bamboo building noticed the movement around them and looked over at the same time. Hey, I didn't expect that the fourth person who came here was actually a junior in the innate stage. The speaker was an old woman wearing brown robes, with gray hair, and holding a dragon-headed cane. But it's a good thing that there are talented people in every generation. An old monk wearing a yellow cassock spoke. Between the two of them, a middle-aged man wearing a blue robe with a sharp breath glanced at Su Junming and closed his eyes. There is no doubt that these three people are all Jindan-level monks. The old monk and the old woman holding a dragon-headed crutch are the existences of the third level of the golden elixir. The middle-aged man with a sharp aura smelled too strong of a swordsman. Su Junming, who practiced swordsmanship himself, knew that he could not go wrong. Golden Core Sword Cultivator, it seems that the sword mark on Wuzang Peak was left by him. Su Junming crossed his legs behind the three of them and sat down. This bamboo house is the core of the entire ancient monk's cave. If there is something to suppress the formation, even if no one is in charge, it will be difficult for nascent soul to break open violently. The best way is to understand. You don't need to understand the entire formation, just find the way in and out. But Su Junming has an advantage over others in that he has a bronze mirror. This treasure can not only help him understand the changes in the formation, but also allow him to see everything in the wooden house clearly in advance, especially the location and quality of each treasure. When he looked through the wooden house, it was not the living room he imagined, but a huge space about 10 feet wide and 8 feet high. There is nothing else in the space, only a round boulder with a wide top and narrow bottom squatting on the ground. The wide side is about 7 feet in diameter, and the narrow side is also 4 feet in diameter. The earth-moving spiritual energy of the boulder was extremely powerful, surpassing all the earth-moving spiritual objects Su Junming had seen before. He even suspected that this big guy might have reached the Dongxian level. The earth element aura above is really strong. Such a treasure can become a spiritual weapon by just refining it. Wrong. While excited, Su Junming quickly discovered something unusual. Under this boulder, there is actually a red light flashing. As soon as the bronze mirror was pressed, a shocking scene appeared before his eyes. 10 feet under the boulder, endless flames were tumbling. The further you looked down, the wider the scope of the sea of fire. Even 30 feet deep under where they were sitting was an endless sea of fire. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 210. Chapter 207, Eyes of Fire Underground. The endless flames roared, as vast as the ocean. Even just looking at the hot flames made Su Junming feel hot all over. This is an underground eye of fire. Su Junming understood instantly. The entire Wuzang Peak cave sky is pressed against this eye of fire. The huge boulder in the wooden house is the anchor of Wuzang Peak and the center of the fire eye. The large cave-level formation of Wuzang Peak is only incidental in protecting this ancient monk's cave. Its real function is to use the 5 elements to create and restrain the middle, and the wonderful principle of fire and earth to absorb the fire energy in the flames to worship the huge rocks in the wooden house. Increase the power of the formation and suppress the eye of fire so that it will not erupt. After understanding the truth about this ancient monk's cave, Su Junming's curiosity disappeared. He finally understood that whoever gets this ancient cave must guard the underground fire eye here. Once the protection is not good enough, the eye of fire will erupt, the Yangtze River will be cut off, and the 2 sides of the river will become Ziguo. More importantly, the 3 towns of Jiangan and Han are just around the corner. Millions of people will die. Even gods can't handle such a huge karma, let alone ordinary people. If this is really the case, any monk who is attached to this cause and effect will never be able to achieve enlightenment in the future. Of course, if you protect it for 100 years and keep the fire eye safe, it will be a great merit that is astonishing. When the spiritual energy is sufficient, it is enough to become an immortal. It is estimated that the person who originally guarded the fire eye and built this cave became an immortal through this meritorious deed. Of course, the premise is that there is sufficient spiritual energy. Now that heaven and earth are at the end of the law, merit will make it easier for you to realize the Tao. After death, you can become a ghost or god in the underworld and avoid the pain of reincarnation. Or reincarnate into a good family in the next life, become the second generation of rich people, the second generation of officials, and have many descendants. It is impossible to become an immortal. After understanding the stakes, Su Junming looked sympathetically at the middle-aged sword cultivator in front of him who was contemplating the formation with his eyes closed. This guy cut through the 5-foot peak cave sky with one sword, breaking the formation, which is equivalent to breaking the fire creates earth pattern here. If the magic circle cannot be completed and the boulder in the middle does not suppress the fire eye, causing an eruption, the cause and effect will be huge. However, Su Junming had no intention of reminding him. As long as he could understand the formation and enter it, he would understand the whole story. Moreover, the huge stone inside has absorbed the fire energy for more than 1,000 years. As long as no one deliberately destroys it, it will be no problem to suppress the fire eye. No wonder no big sect of golden elixirs came here. They must have known the truth and falsehood for a long time. After thinking about it carefully, Su Junming figured out the truth and falsehood. This so-called ancient monk's cave is basically a big pit or a tiankang, and the kind that traps people without paying for their lives. Su Junming doesn't want to get stuck here. But he didn't leave immediately. This large hole formation of fire and earth is unique, and he, who is majoring in formations, plans to study it carefully. Time passed little by little, and 3 days later, someone finally understood the second level of formation and came to the wooden house. Su Junming turned around and saw an old man wearing a black robe, carrying a 3-foot yellow gourd on his back, with a stern expression. After the visitor glanced at the old woman, middle-aged sword cultivator and monk in front, he saw Su Junming, and his expression changed slightly. With a wave of his big sleeve, a surge of mana spurted out. The treasures here belong to the golden pill cultivators. You, Xian, get out of here. A red rainbow light flashed. With a bang, the old man's magic power was shattered. Su Junming stood up, and behind him, a 3-foot-high red rainbow light stood like a giant pillar. If you can't speak, Pandeo will teach you for free. With his current strength, a guy with a golden elixir could be killed without the help of Lupin and Renwuji. The old man was furious. Junior, you are looking for death. As soon as the magic power was activated, the big yellow-skinned gourd behind him flew up, and a mighty earth-like spiritual light flickered from it. Just as he was about to take action, a sharp sword energy flew towards him, leaving a deep sword mark between the two of them. The old man paused. If you want to fight, go out and fight, otherwise don't blame me for being rude. After the middle-aged swordsman finished speaking in a cold voice, he closed his eyes again. The old man's eyes were cold, but he knew that his cultivation was not as good as his opponent's, and his ability to fight was far inferior, so he did not have the guts to challenge the opponent's majesty. As for going out, after finally getting in, he didn't want to go out. He glared at Su Junming fiercely. You brat, just wait. After I get out, I will settle the accounts with you. Su Junming smiled lightly. I am Su Junming, a true disciple of Mission Nanzang. You are welcome to come to me to settle accounts. The old man's expression changed, and his expression instantly darkened. Even if you give him some courage, he would not dare to go to Mount Luofu, the southern sect of Mission, to beat up the true disciple of the inner sect of Mission. The foundation of the Millennium sect is no joke. Boy, are you really a disciple of Mission Nanzang? The old woman holding a dragon-headed crutch suddenly asked. Yes. Do you know Qian Dinglin? Master Qian's uncle once taught the younger generation the art of weapon refining. The old woman nodded and said nothing. Glancing at her, Su Junming thought to himself, looking at his attitude, this person should be an old acquaintance of Master Qian's uncle. Could it be an old lover? He shook his head, realizing that he shouldn't speculate on his elders like this, so he sat down and continued to study the formation. As time passed, more and more people came to the wooden house through the second layer of formation. 1 month later, there were already 9 people on the side. In addition to Su Junming and later Luo Yu, there was also an unknown young woman who was in the innate realm. The remaining 6 people are all golden elixirs. This was the first time for Su Junming to see so many golden elixir monks. And the vast majority of them are casual cultivators and the pillars of small and medium-sized sects. Jingle. The crisp sound of the copper bell suddenly woke up 9 people from their enlightenment at the same time. Su Junming frowned and turned to look in the direction where the ringing sound came from. A beautiful young woman wearing a black skirt and a phoenix hairpin came into view. This woman, like him, is also at the peak of her innate nature. To be able to come here, it is obvious that she has extraordinary formation cultivation or has a unique secret treasure. After attracting everyone's attention, the woman smiled slightly, bowed and said respectfully. Seniors, the core formation of the cave where the ancient monks lived is the peak of the cave. It is difficult for us to understand it in our eagerness. Therefore, the little girl has a method that can quickly break the formation here. Everyone's expressions changed slightly. What can you, a congenital monk, do? The old man, who was carrying a yellow gourd and almost had a fight with Su Junming at first, asked coldly. Senior, little girl, there are a lot of ordinary explosives here. If they are ignited, even if the protection of this wooden house cannot be broken, the spiritual energy of this formation will be greatly consumed. If we take action together at that time, we will definitely be able to break this formation. What is explosives? Is it so powerful? An old man wearing a Taoist robe frowned. Obviously, this Jindan has not been in the secular world for a long time and does not understand the changes in the secular world. The woman in black smiled slightly, took out a grenade from her bag and threw it out. There was a boom, and within 2 feet, there was a burst of fireworks. Except for Su Junming, everyone present changed their expressions. They originally thought that explosives were the same thing as gunpowder. The power is good, but not much stronger. But now it seems that is not the case at all. The power of this small melon-like thing's explosion is actually comparable to that of a peak innate attack. If the quantity is sufficient, it will be even more impressive. How many of these do you have? The old man carrying a yellow gourd asked quickly. The woman smiled lightly. This junior has 10,000 stones. Su Junming frowned instantly. 1 stone is 120 kilograms, 10,000 stones is 600 tons. Moreover, judging from the grenade just now, the explosive inside has obviously been refined through Taoist rituals and is more powerful. Once these tens of thousands of stones of explosives go down, not only will the formation be unable to withstand it, but the entire eye of fire will also be blown open. By then, the surrounding area of 100 miles will be reduced to ashes, with countless casualties. Thinking of this possibility, Su Junming's scalp went numb. No matter how selfish he is, he will never allow such a tragic thing to happen in front of him. We must not let this woman succeed. What if the explosion destroys the contents inside? Luo Yu frowned. Others nodded in agreement. This is also what they worry about. Looking at the power of the thing that exploded just now, if 10,000 stones of explosives were used, it would definitely be stronger than what a Yuanying level monk would do. As for whether it could compare to Yuan Shen, they had never seen it and didn't know. However, a large cave-level formation with no one in charge may not be able to withstand such a violent blow. Everyone, this is a complete big cave-level formation. Although no one is in charge, it is powerful enough to block Nas and Soul-level monks. If we don't prepare more explosives, I'm afraid we won't be able to blow it open. As for you guys worrying about blowing up the things inside, I think you are overly worried. Dongsuan level materials or spiritual weapons are not that fragile. For a while, most people fell into deep thought. Is it to meditate here for 3 to 5 years, and then watch others go in first to get the treasure? Or should the formation explode and everyone swarm forward, each relying on chance and luck? Those later Jindan monks naturally chose the latter. They arrived late and were not very proficient in the formation. Their ability to get through the second level of formation relied entirely on their golden elixir level Taoist magical powers, not their formation cultivation. No. Just as more and more people's eyes lit up, a resolute voice of opposition rang out. Facing everyone's gaze, Su Junming had a tough attitude. We must not explode the formation. Junior, this is not your mission southern section. Besides, there are many Jindan elders here, and it's not your junior's turn to speak. The old man Jindan, who was already in conflict with him and was carrying a yellow-skinned gourd, immediately sneered. But Su Junming didn't even look at him. Aren't you curious? It's been more than a month since the ancient cave was born. Why don't all the golden elixirs from a great sect come here? As soon as he reminded me, things that had been selectively forgotten suddenly came to mind. Normally, whenever something big happens in the world of cultivation, the golden elixirs, talismans, Suanmen, and Buddhist sects will always be there. But now that the ancient monk's cave has appeared, no one has come here. This is really weird. Especially Wudaing, the great sect of the Jindan sect, which is only a few hundred miles away from here. The Jindan monks will be there in a few hours, so there is no reason to let them go. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 211. Chapter 208, No one can enter if there is a poor Taoist. Do you know the reason? A middle-aged monk wearing bagua robe asked. Su Junming nodded. The reason why the various sects' golden elixirs don't come is because this place is not an ancient cave, but a place to suppress the Bai's hangfire eye. If you don't believe it, you can leave this Wuzang Peak and use the earth escape technique to go underground to investigate, and you will find out. As soon as he finished speaking, there was rapid discussion around him. The woman in black's eyes also flickered a bit. Haha, Mission Nanzong. Su Junming's formation is unparalleled. You must have understood the mystery of this formation, right? That's why you made up this clumsy reason to trick everyone into leaving, and then you can go inside and take away all the treasures. I have to say, Brother Dao is really good at calculating. After the woman in black finished speaking, the people around her looked at Su Junming and their eyes changed instantly. As the first in the competition between the two sects in the north and south of Mission, Su Junming's performance in the competition was widely circulated in the cultivation world, and his proficiency in formations was also known. As for whether it can reach the level of breaking the big hole level formation, no one knows. However, as long as he is proficient in the formation and has the ability to crack the formation, even if there is only a slight possibility, then what the woman said will be confirmed. Everyone is selfish, even the golden core level monks are the same. No one wants to see the treasure fall into the hands of others, so naturally no one leaves to go out and work hard to verify whether Su Junming's words are true or false. Noticing the changes in everyone's expressions, Su Junming felt secretly resentful. There are 6 golden elixir monks, 2 golden elixirs at the third level, 1 golden elixir at the second level, and 3 golden elixirs at the first level. It is almost impossible to stop them by yourself. It's definitely not possible to use force. And he also confirmed the lie that he kept the treasure to himself. Everyone, you must think clearly. Once the formation is broken, the eye of fire will explode and 1,000 miles around will turn into a sea of flames. Millions of people in the 3 towns of Jianghan and Han are just around the corner, and they will die because of you. The Yangtze River will also be blocked by the huge amount of fire and sand. The river will overflow and cause disasters. Countless towns in the upper reaches will become ziguo. Millions of people will become food for fish and shrimps. Starvation will occur all over the land. It is extremely miserable. You are also citizens of China. Do you want to disregard the lives of countless people in China for your own selfish interests? Moreover, this astonishing karma is enough to destroy your path, and there will be no chance of enlightenment in 100 lifetimes. Su Junming's words made everyone's hearts tremble. Impossible, this must be your lie. The old man carrying the yellow gourd shouted. If you don't believe it, you can leave a few people to watch before going down, then select 2 or 3 people to go outside and check. After finishing his words, Su Junming turned his head. He looked at the woman in black with sharp eyes and a murderous look on his face. As for you, a Japanese onmyoji who tried every possible means to explode this eye of fire and harmed almost half of China, you deserve to die. When the woman said to explode the formation just now, Su Junming used a bronze mirror to check it out. He originally thought that the woman was a demon, but unexpectedly he saw the crotch cloth that only Japanese people would wear. The new hatred now, coupled with the old hatred of a lifetime. Su Junming did not hesitate to activate the Shen de Zhenju, his body expanded, and he chopped off the head with the Daguan Dao in his hand. The surging sword energy spurted out like the Yangtze River in an instant. The face of the woman in black changed drastically. However, a streak of yellow sand came first and blocked her path. Boom! The sword energy and yellow sand exploded, and the surging energy set off strong winds. You are actually protecting a foreigner. Su Junming held a long knife in his hand and glared angrily at the old man opposite who was carrying a yellow-skinned gourd. Shi Huangguo made a gesture with his hands, countless yellow sand surrounded him, and he stared at the giant man who was over 10 feet tall opposite him with a somewhat solemn expression. The strength shown by the opponent's sword just now was not inferior to him in the slightest. Until the matter is clarified, I can't just listen to your words. Snort. Su Junming urged the gods to fight again, and his body quickly grew to 2 feet. The aura on his body is already as strong as the second level of the golden core. Feeling the surge of aura on his body, everyone's expression changed. Except for the white-browed old monk and the old woman holding the dragon-headed crutch, the remaining 4 golden elixir cultivators. The only one who has reached the second level of the golden elixir is the middle-aged sword cultivator who was the first to come here. The remaining 3 are basically golden elixirs. For the sake of self-interest, he disregards the safety of thousands of people, he forgets his ancestors and helps foreigners, he is dark-hearted and blind, and cannot distinguish between right and wrong. Such a golden elixir is simply a great harm to the world of spiritual practice. Today, the poor Taoist has eliminated a big problem in the world of spiritual practice. Harmful. Shi Wang's chi apertures were filled with smoke. Since he achieved the golden elixir, he has always been arrogant and respectful wherever he goes. Even those from the big sects would politely call him Senior Shi when they see him. I didn't expect to be insulted in public by a young man today. I am so angry that I will never break up with you, my junior surnamed Su. You'll survive my death first. Su Junming raised his sword high and slashed 3 times in a row. In an instant, the surging sword energy was like a river rolling back, overwhelming the sky and covering the earth, and fell towards Shi Huangguo. The 3 waves of sword energy are like 3 shocking waves, Their momentum is astonishing. Looking at the astonishing sword energy that was more than 10 feet long and irritating my skin, I was horrified. Gritting his teeth, the magic power in his dantian was poured into the yellow-skinned gourd like it was free, and the rolling yellow sand swarmed towards the saber energy. Bang! Chi-chi! The yellow sand disperses and the sword energy disappears. Shi Huangguo was a little dazed, but also a little excited. Su Junming didn't look at him, but turned to look at the middle-aged sword cultivator with the sword in his hand. If he hadn't taken action just now, Shi Huangguo would have been injured at least 3 times. Senior also wants to help a person who has forgotten his ancestors. Gao Ling is known as the Qingyang sword master in the practice world. Although he is a casual cultivator, his swordsmanship is outstanding and he is a rare swordsman in the practice world. The arrogance in my heart is naturally extraordinary. I just can't bear to see you bullying others with your power. Even if Mission Nanzong stands up for you, this ancient monk's cave is not your property in Mission and cannot be occupied by you alone. Fellow Taoist Gao is right. If you, Mission, want to use your power to bully others, none of the fellow Taoists present will agree, Shi Huangguo said quickly. He was not stupid. He knew that he was no match for Su Junming, so he tried his best to win over enemies for the other party. But, I think it's better for us to follow what almsgiver Su said and go underground to take a look outside the Wuzang Peak. If there really is an eye of fire here, this wooden house cannot be blown up. Otherwise, if it affects the people, hundreds of us will be killed. Even death cannot atone for one's sins. I also feel that Master Kong's intention is very good. The old woman holding a faucet agreed. Su Junming's eyes flashed, and the aura on his body increased again, and in the blink of an eye he became 3 feet tall. What's even more astonishing is that the aura on his body is no less than that of a 3rd-level golden elixir. Either you all retreat immediately, or you do as Pandeo says, otherwise no one can get in with Pandeo here today. Su Junming exhaled like thunder and sounded like a loud bell. The giant's body was even more domineering, forcing everyone to retreat. With the help of the flesh and blood of more than 1,000 Dongzhen medium-grade cold flame bugs, Su Junming's physical cultivation has already reached innate perfection. If he hadn't been afraid of the imbalance between his physical body and his cultivation, he would have been able to overcome the catastrophe by now before the time came. Therefore, the 3-foot-long divine body that was once difficult to afford is now affordable. But time only lasts for a moment. But the people here don't know his reality. No matter what level you are in, it always gets harder the higher you go. Nowadays, most of the golden elixirs in the cultivation world are the first transformation of the golden elixir. Only with 10 golden elixirs at one level can you have a chance to break through the 2nd level of the golden elixir, and even less with the 3rd level. A 3-level golden elixir is enough to support a mid-level sect. Su Junming's change this time was even more astonishing than when he just broke through from the innate to the golden elixir. Shi Huangguo looked ugly, feeling extremely regretful for offending such a fierce person. Jailing was confident before saying goodbye, and looked at Su Junming with solemn eyes. Although the sword cultivator's fighting ability has always been better than that of his peers, he did not dare to be careless when faced with a 3rd-level golden elixir. Luo Yu looked at Su Junming with eyes full of disbelief. After the Changchun Valley competition, he also knew the news that the opponent could temporarily possess the golden elixir's combat power by virtue of the divine fighting skills. However, he asked himself that he had the best magic weapon in his hand, which was no worse than the opponent. But now it seems that it is not only a difference, but also that the two sides are no longer on the same level. Even if Su Junming can only hold on to the 3rd level of the golden elixir for a while, it is still the 3rd level of the golden elixir and should not be taken lightly. Monk Kong and the old woman holding a dragon-headed crutch also looked a little surprised. However, since they were already at the 3rd level of the golden core, their hearts were less shocked. Su Junming used all his strength to perform the divine fighting technique, and his huge body enveloped the entire audience. Everyone was intimidated by his aura, and the atmosphere in the arena became somewhat depressing. "Do you guys have a decision?" Su Junming asked. But she donor is proficient in earth escape. "Why don't you and I take the trip?" Shi Huangguo nodded quickly. If he stayed here, he was afraid that Su Junming would kill him directly. "Thank you, master," Su Junming said. But a poor monk doesn't want to cause a huge disaster because of his own selfishness. He should not be thanked by the benefactor. Su Junming didn't say anything, and looked straight at the woman in black at the corner. "Although I don't know what your purpose is, as a foreigner, you are not allowed to murder our Chinese people." Seeing the giant sword coming at her like a mountain, the face of the woman in black changed wildly. Crow Tengu. A tall figure with a bird's head and body, nearly 2 feet tall, with 2 wings on its back and 2 swords in hand, stood in front of the woman in black. This figure exudes the strong ghost aura, but it is also wrapped in the aura of incense. It is neither a ghost nor a god. God formula. Su Junming realized something. The Daguandeo gained another 3 points of strength. Boom. Wu Tengu, whose strength was only 1 level of Jindan, was cut in half by Su Junming's sword with all his strength. However, this delay allowed the woman in black to take out a 1-foot-long black gourd from her pocket. Looking at Su Junming, the woman in black's eyes were full of hatred. If it weren't for him, he wouldn't have to give up a precious space magic weapon. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 212. Chapter 209. The cave sky is shattered. Su Junming, the Nanzong of Mission, it's you who ruined my good deeds. You Japanese witch, I'm so blind that I'm going to protect you. Shi Huangguo cursed. As soon as the Shikigami came out, the identity of this woman was confirmed. Haha, you are blind to begin with. You. Shi Huangguo's brows were filled with anger, and he stirred up the divine sand to hit the woman in black. But the other party didn't seem to notice, staring at Su Junming closely. Although you have ruined a good thing, you are all still going to die, and this underground fire eye will also explode. As he spoke, he suddenly threw the black gourd out. In an instant, a frightening danger made everyone present change their colors. Su Junming's mind was spinning. The Daguandeo that was about to be slashed out was instantly retracted, and a blue talisman flew out from the top door. Seal up. The black gourd's expanding aura of destruction stopped instantly. Impossible. The woman in black yelled. The tone was full of disbelief. Japanese witch, everyone can find it and kill it. Dao Ling's face was ugly. He drew his sword and slashed. The sharp sword energy was like a cold lightning. In the blink of an eye, it surpassed Shi Huangguo's sacred sand and slashed through the woman in black. Blood splattered everywhere, and the head flew high. A trace of black energy flew out of his head. A shrill voice sounded. I don't believe it, how could you prevent the Swanyan divine thunder from exploding? Seeing that Su Junming was silent, his face looked a bit ugly. Crazy laughter sounded from the black mist. Haha, that's it, that's it. You're just stalling for time. But the divine light of King Kong that subdues demons. The bright Buddha's light flashed through, and the black air slowly melted like snow under the bright sun. Haha, you are all going to die. The wild laughter made everyone look ugly. Su Xiao, how are you? Asked the old woman holding a dragon-headed crutch. Everyone looked over together. Fools all know they've been fooled. Moreover, the aura revealed in the black gourd made them all feel extremely dangerous. Once it exploded, they would really die here. At this moment, Su Junming looked extremely solemn. Wave after wave of thunder in the black gourd impacted his seal. If it weren't for the past few years, when his understanding of the 6 town talismans hadn't been further advanced, he would hardly be able to stop the black gourd for even a moment. Su Junming flicked out a flash of light with his backhand, and a vortex appeared in the originally closed wooden house. In the past month, with the help of the bronze mirror, although he had not understood the entire formation, it was not a problem if he just entered and exited. Everyone, hurry in, this gourd is going to explode. Everyone's expressions changed drastically. Shi Huangguo took the lead and flew straight into the whirlpool. The rest of the people, even though they were grateful, knew that now was not the time to talk much, so they hurriedly flew in. Su Junming's eyes were firm. The Japanese woman's purpose is very clear, not only to explode the fire eye, but also to destroy the golden elixir combat power of the Chinese cultivation world. In this case, of course she cannot be allowed to succeed. The reason for doing this is also based on his confidence that he can avoid the explosion. He is not yet noble enough to take advantage of himself to save others. He stretched out his hand and used a formation in the air to reveal a direct passage to the outside world. With a rush of mana, the black gourd flew out along the passage. Just halfway through, Su Junming's face changed wildly. I can't hold on any longer. Regardless of anything else at the moment, he ducked into the wooden house. Boom! A dazzling sun suddenly appeared above the 1,000-acre space of Wuzhang Peak. Like a bolt from the blue, rolling thunder filled the sky and the earth. The dazzling firelight is like an angry dragon, unleashing its power wantonly. 600 tons of gunpowder exploded, more powerful than a peak nascent soul cultivator's full-force attack. A large hole was instantly blown open at the top of the nearest Wuzhang Peak space. Violent flames swarmed out like a volcano erupting. The people who were meditating around Wuzhang Peak outside were in great trouble. They were thrown away more than 10 feet by the violent impact. Fortunately, everyone is innate, and the power of the explosion has been weakened by the formation, and the direction of the flames is facing high in the sky. Otherwise it would not be as simple as being seriously injured. In the wooden house, Su Junming and others did not stop. As the anchor of the formation, the boulder connected to the formation was almost blown away from the underground fire eye by the power of the explosion. Rumble! The boulders shook violently, making a muffled sound like thunder. In the exposed gap, you can clearly see the golden red flames below. Su Junming jumped to the top of the boulder. The patriarchal clan of the Shangqing dynasty, the 6 towns are like mountains, fixed. The shaking of the boulder became smaller, but it did not stop. King Kong blockade. Sacred wooden stake. Monk Liao Kong and the old woman holding a dragon-headed crutch followed suit and suppressed the boulder. Others followed. Seeing the situation here, no one doubts Su Junming's words anymore. With the pressure of cause and effect, no one dares not to try his best. Slowly, the shaking of the boulder stopped. The flames below stopped rising. Su Junming breathed a sigh of relief, finally not causing any serious trouble. Sudden. A stream of yellow light flew out of the boulder like lightning. Before he could react, it sank into his body, and countless words instantly dispersed from the yellow light into the sea of consciousness. After reading it, Su Junming's face instantly darkened. Amitabha, fellow Taoist Su, do you need help? After seeing Su Junming's magical power, Monk Lingkong no longer regarded himself as a senior. Need not. Su Junming shook his head. The yellow aura just now conveyed the information about the fire eye here, as well as the formation method and manipulation seal of a large cave-level formation, the Lianji Circle Light Array. With these, Su Junming completely mastered this formation and the 5-foot peak cave. Of course, he also took over the responsibility of guarding the formation and suppressing the fire eyes. I didn't expect that I would fall into this big hole in the end. Su Junming has a complicated heart. But now is not the time to feel depressed. After calming down the fluctuations in his heart with the pure heart talisman, he looked at the people around him. If he hadn't saved them, he wouldn't be in his current situation. We can't let them leave so easily. Everyone, the 5 Jong Peak cave sky is shattered, and the fire eyes will erupt at any time. With this cause and effect, we are finally connected. Su Junming waved his hand, and the wooden house disappeared, and everything outside was exposed to everyone. There are cracks all over the ground in Wuzangfeng cave, and exposed magma can be faintly seen inside. There is even more nothingness in the sky, and everything in the outside world can be directly seen. Although there were not many casualties among the casual cultivators around, there were countless injured. The blood and screams went straight to the bottom of my heart. Everyone present looked solemn and depressed. Old Shi, if you hadn't protected that demon girl, things wouldn't have gotten to this point. The golden elixir monk wearing a purple bagua robe said angrily. Shi Huangguo was about to tell the difference, but when he saw the unkind eyes of the people around him, he couldn't help but swallow the words that came to his lips. He didn't want to make people angry. Su Xiao is proficient in formations. Is there any way to remedy this? Asked the old woman holding a dragon-headed crutch. Others also looked over hopefully. They are casual cultivators, not demonic cultivators. If such a huge cause and effect is not repaid, the path of spiritual practice will most likely be bumpy in the future, and life will not be easy after death. Su Junming nodded. The huge stone holding the formation is still there, and the foundation of the formation has not been destroyed. As long as there is enough earth element spiritual energy to repair the Wuzang Peak, the formation can be restored to its original state and the fire eye can be suppressed again. Hearing this, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. As long as there is still salvation, that's fine. But, thanks to fellow Taoist Su's efforts to stop it, if the gourd was allowed to explode at the wooden house, the formation would be destroyed, and then the eye of fire would erupt. Thousands of creatures in the 3 towns of Jiangan and along both sides of the river would die because of our mistakes. Such great cause and effect, it will be difficult to repay even if you reincarnate for 100 lifetimes. Monk Lokong's words were filled with joy. The others also nodded. Only Gao Ling and Shi Huangguo looked unhappy. If they hadn't stopped him and allowed Su Junming to kill the Japanese witch, they wouldn't have ended up in this situation. The former gritted his teeth, took out a spirit-filled stone from his pocket, and handed it to Su Junming. This Dongxian low-grade Suanwu Lingxi was obtained by chance. Can it be used to repair this 5-foot peak? Seeing how he persisted even though his body ached, Su Junming was somewhat impressed by this person. Not everyone is willing to take out Dongxian-level materials to make up for the mistakes they have made. Didn't you see that Shi Huangguo, who was obviously practicing earth-based Taoism, didn't even bring out a spiritual object under the gaze of everyone? Nature. Su Junming nodded. He stretched out his hand and pointed at the Suanwu spirit stone. Under the power of the formation, countless earth spiritual powers were drawn out. Visible to the naked eye, the cracks in the earth are beginning to close. The cracks on Wuzang Peak continued to shrink, and finally only the damage in the sky remained. Although it's still not complete, it's at least countless times better than at the beginning, when it seemed like it was going to break at any moment. Seeing this, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Won't fellow Taoist Shi bring out some spiritual objects? Su Junming said directly. Well, there is really no suitable spiritual object for me. Shi Huangguo said awkwardly after saying haha. Brother Su Dao, I also have a piece of top quality 3-color spiritual soil here. I wonder if it can be used, Luo Yu said. As long as it is an earth-based spiritual object. Luo Yu nodded, took a jade box from the magic bag and handed it over. I have a really top quality Qingyang earth core stone here, so let's add it too. But, the old monk has no earth spiritual objects, so he stayed here to collect earth spiritual energy and handed it over to Su Xiao to repair Wuzang Peak. Of the 2 remaining golden elixir cultivators, one took a top-grade Dongzhen Kajayao Lingxi while the other stayed to collect spiritual energy. I'm going to kill that Japanese witch, Gao Ling suddenly said. After losing such a big person and almost causing a huge disaster, the arrogant Jailing could still bear it. As for the Japanese woman, although her body was cut off by him, her soul was destroyed by Master Kong. But everyone can see that the soul is not the soul of an innate peak monk at all, it is just a split soul. Fellow Taoist Gao, be careful. There must be support behind that woman, otherwise she wouldn't have the guts to do such a big thing, Su Junming reminded. Gao Ling nodded, bowed towards Su Junming and clasped his fists. Thank you for your life-saving grace. From now on, Gao owes you a life. Once called, Gao will do his best to come to your aid. Without Su Junming's rescue, he would have never survived an explosion like that. Su Junming actually liked this Jingyang sword master who had an arrogant temperament and a clear distinction between good and evil. Fellow Taoist, this is serious. We are Chinese cultivators, we help each other, and we work together to deal with the outside world. This is the most important thing. Gao Ling took a deep look at him, then a green sword light enveloped his body, rose into the sky, and quickly disappeared. Everyone didn't have any objections to him leaving. After all, they contributed a low-grade earth element from Dongxian, which directly restored nearly half of Wuzhang Peak.